life insurance. The first is they know they kind of need to do it, they just haven't gotten around to it. The second is they're worried about maybe what the cost would be, they're just not sure. Third, and I'm sure this isn't you, but every once in a while I find people who just don't care about their family. Obviously that's not you. Which of the first two do you say it is, right? Okay, and then you tie them down. If money weren't an issue, how much coverage would you want to have? The second tie down is money's always a concern. What do you feel like you could invest on a monthly basis to make sure your family's properly taken care of? Most of our clients say between this and this. Some say as much as that. A few people say as little as where do you feel comfortable? So she'd asked, what happens when you find somebody who says they can't afford it at all? I said, well, you would have found that if you're following the process before you've ever gone beyond that point, right? And at that point, you have the ability to educate. Right? And so here's how I would educate that person, right? Is I'd say, you know, listen, I totally appreciate what you're saying, but I want you to think about it like this, okay? So this is the only bill you're ever gonna pay that's going to pay your family back. It's like, do you have cable by chance? Oh, sure, right. So like when you die, Comcast isn't gonna call, so you know what? Your family paid these bills on time every month. We heard about the tragedy. We'd like to pay off your mortgage. We'd like to send your kids to school. We'd like to offer you free lifetime cable. Is that call ever coming?
No.
No. What about any other bill you pay? Is that call coming? No, except here. So I appreciate that you don't think you can pay it. Let's find a different bill to not pay.
I see it for the price of dinner.
Well, you're trying to get blood out of a rock. I'm trying to educate, right?
Yeah.
There's money there. It's just going to the wrong place. Well, I got to pay my credit cards. No, you don't. You ain't got no money. What are they going to do? Sue you? It's an unsecured line of debt. They're going to sue you, and you have nothing. So you got a creditor pissed at you. Better than their family for the rest of their lives when you leave them with nothing, right? Why don't you pay yourself first and let these other people worry about themselves, right? Because poor folk pay everybody but themselves. You ever realize that? That's why they're poor. Not that they don't have money, they just do poor things with it over and over and over and over again, right? They're paying the wrong people first and paying themselves last or never. And then they do stupid things like don't have life insurance either. So then they pass that on to their kids. And it's just a generational, poverty cycle. Right? Does that make sense? So I'm going to interrupt their thinking. Say, listen, name me one other bill you pay right now that's ever going to pay your family back. You have zero of them. If you had a choice between paying a bill that would pay you back or paying a bill that wouldn't pay you back, which would you pick? The one that pay you back, right? Great. So let's stop paying somebody else and let's start paying this. I've done that a bunch of times, right? And they keep their policy. Why? Because I taught them. Yeah, I taught them. Right? Does that make sense? What other objections do you guys get on people who don't have life insurance that are not stalls? Okay? That are not stalls. Okay? Here's one. Is I want to shop it out. It's a stall, but it wasn't directly addressed in that first line of 5, right?
Right.
Okay. So listen, I totally appreciate you wanting to shop it out, Jordan. In fact, I'd encourage you to shop it out because when you see what else is out there, you're definitely going to go with us. Okay, but if I'm just being honest with you, unfortunately, life insurance is a hard product to shop out. The quotes mean just about nothing. And so if you're serious about shopping it out, you need to apply with us and you need to apply with a couple other carriers and see what they actually give you. So I could say, Jordan, I'll give you $1 million for 50 cents a month. I could tell you that. It's just never going to happen. Right? Okay? So if you're serious about shopping it out, let's get you started here. Go get a couple of other policies issued. The only thing that I'm going to ask you, Jordan, is this. If you do that, that we're going to get back together and compare the policies side by side. Because you're not a life insurance expert, right?
Not yet.
Okay, right. So you're not going to be able to read through them maybe as quickly and as accurately as I will. So we'll read them together.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Great. Let's go ahead and get you started. So I'm going to affirm. You want to shop it out? Oh, this is the best. And why do you know? Go ahead, shop it out. Because you're going to need to do what I'm asking you to do at 2 or 3 other places, right? Because you get a shop and anybody can try to beat your price. It doesn't mean it's actually going to happen, right? So let's see what actually happens,
Sure.
and then we'll make the best choice. Is that fair? If that's the real objection, it was just solved,
Okay.
right?
How many times have you done that and they actually shop it out?
Never.
They
They're
don't.
gonna have to come up with
It's a
premiums
stall.
according to the company.
It's a stall. I have on very few occasions had people just they'll straight up lie. Oh, I found something better. I'm going to go there. Well, I appreciate that, Jordan. Remember when we said we were going to get back together? Yeah, but I'm all set. Well, Jordan, listen. You made a commitment to me that we would do that, right? And so I helped you move forward under that agreement. And so now, Jordan, sounds like you're trying to back out of the agreement that you made with me, right? And I'd have preferred if you were going to do that you'd have just told me that up front, because it does waste my time. It also harms my business to have policies in that don't go forward. So we agreed, remember? You looked at me, you said, yeah, we'll get back together. So I'd appreciate if you would keep that side of the agreement, and I'll keep mine, and we'll get together and we'll look at it. If it's better, I want you to go there. I want what's good for your family, even if it's not what's good for me. But I do want you to keep your side of the agreement. Is that fair, Jordan? I'm just gonna call him on the carpet. You told me X, you're trying to backpedal out. I expect you to deal with me in a certain way. Just like you would expect me to deal with you in a certain way, right? You only get run around in Primerica if you let people run you around, right? I'm not going to let them run me around, okay? But every once in a while, and guess what he's doing? He's lying. He has no policy. He's found nothing better. His bad thinking is causing him to try to get out of what he's already started with you. That's what's happening, right? And so I'm going to call him on the floor for it a little bit. All right, does that make sense? Okay, so I want to shop it out, okay? I want to talk to somebody. My friend sells insurance. My son. Travis, listen, I really appreciate that, brother, and I want you to talk to him, okay? In fact, I'd encourage it. And what would be wonderful is if you wouldn't mind maybe even bringing them to the meeting when we get back together to go through your policy. That'd be wonderful.
Wow.
Okay, but listen, you know, I don't know who this person is, but my main concern, Travis, is this. I don't know why they're not sitting here right now trying to help you get this. If they really cared about you like I care about your family, they'd have been here already having this conversation with you. So I appreciate that you want to give them a shot at the business or whatever, right? That's cool with me, right? But I'd like you to go forward with me because I've taken the time to educate you and come out here and to sit here, and they haven't. Right? Does that make sense, Trev? Perfect. So if you want to give them a shot at it, give them a shot, but let's go forward. Go ahead.
What if it's like they already have and they're like, oh, they're my agent? Like,
Well, so we're in a different scenario.
Okay.
If they're already their agent, then they already have a product,
okay, so
right? So that would be that would be one of the different scenarios. That would be either scenario 4 or 5. They already have term insurance, they already have cash value insurance. We'll deal with those.
Okay.
But right now we're talking about people who don't have life insurance. So if they don't have life insurance, they don't have an agent. Right? Does that make sense? It's not possible for those two things to coexist together. Okay? Any questions on that?
Nope.
Okay, any questions on this? Go ahead.
I guess I do have a question.
Go ahead.
What if they say, you know, I promised my brother if I ever got around to life insurance that I would do it with him.
That's wonderful. I really appreciate that. He's not here right now for whatever reason. He didn't see your family as important enough to follow up and be more persistent with. Okay? I'm not that way, and I'd like you to get started. And so if we want to bring it to him and see if he can do something for you too, go ahead. That's totally fine by me. But if your brother cares, he'd probably want you to have the best thing for your family, right? Okay, well, that's going to be this. So if you want to give him a shot at it. He's not going to be able to do what we're going to do for you. Okay? So the only thing I'm going to ask you is that if you do go forward with him, that we can get together, the three of us will compare the policies and make sure you're getting the best thing, not just something from your brother. Because if that policy cancels, your brother's 80 years old, he ain't gonna pay your claim out of his pocket, right? Okay, great. So let's go ahead and make sure that you have the best thing set up. So I encourage all that, right? So they're trying to get it to stall me. Hey, wonderful. Let's go. We're gonna go forward. That's not stopping us from going forward, right? Any other questions or objections you're getting on people who have no life insurance, that are married, have kids, other than these?
They'll just find somebody after I'm gone that they'll meet and.
Sure. So that is person number 3. I don't care about my family. Let them fend for themselves.
Okay. No.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So oh yeah, well they'll just take care of themselves and
She'll just remarry.
Yeah.
They'll just struggle.
yeah. So I'd sit there, I
But
say,
she's sitting there going,
yeah, so I say, I don't want you to take offense to this, but are you serious right now? Because that's not a plan.
Yeah, she'll just remarry.
Yeah, that's not a plan. So let's go ahead and take care of this because we both know you need to do this, and we'll just forget you mentioned that.
But she might not.
yeah.
I'm not disciplined enough
Sure.
to make the payments.
Oh, you don't need to worry about that. We're gonna take it right from your checking
That's
account.
what I said.
Yep.
We'll just take it out of your
Take it
checking
annually,
account.
too.
Yeah. So that is right up front. I told him every once in a while I meet somebody who just doesn't care about their family. Now I'm sure that's not you.
Sure.
So which of the first 2 reasons is it? They're not really. I've guilted them into never saying that to me pretty much before they would ever have the chance to say that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So rarely do I ever see any form of that, because up front I make them feel so bad if that's how they're thinking. Not right, because I'm with P-Lin. There's really 3 reasons I find people who don't have life insurance. The first reason, P-Lin, is this: they kind of know they need to do it. They know it's the right thing. They just haven't gotten around to it.
Right.
The second reason is sometimes I meet people, they just don't know much about it. They're concerned about the cost. They're not sure what it's going to cost. Okay, and the third reason, believe it or not, is sometimes I meet people who just don't care about their family. Okay, now P-Lin, listen, I'm sure that's not you, all right? So which of the first 2 would you say it is? He's not going to tell me she's going to be fine after that conversation.
Right.
But I have had that previously before I had that processing where people would say bullcrap stuff like that. Right? Or, well, I don't want her getting all this money and then getting remarried and all that. Right? Like I've heard that before. And then getting remarried with all this money. Yeah. And so I just say, well, listen, I appreciate that, but why don't we give her the option and not have to get remarried for money, right? Because that's what's going to happen if you don't have this set up, right? She's going to be looking for somebody about 2 weeks after you're gone if you don't leave her some money. Yeah.
This one is kind of, it deals with group life a little bit, but I've got a couple people actually that the husband is really, really insured and the wife is absolutely not.
I don't understand what it has to do with group life.
So the husband has group life,
Okay.
but the wife doesn't have anything. And they won't move forward with a product on their wife. Or
They should be moving forward on the whole thing.
right. And
So
I'm
we
saying,
haven't done a good job of explaining to them why their group is not good.
right.
If after you talk to them about group insurance, they still think group insurance is an acceptable thing, so there's a disconnect.
Right. I had
somewhere.
another person that the husband had a term policy and the wife didn't have anything.
Okay, but so again, I'm not so concerned about the one that has nothing. I'm going to get them together when I replace the term. I'm not leaving these other products intact ever, pretty much, unless they're uninsurable and they have to keep them intact, because it's just not in their best interest. They have got a term somewhere else. Sooner or later, that thing's going to explode on them.
The objection that I got in that example was, well, if she dies, I would just use my retirement money.
And then what will you retire on?
Yeah.
Right.
So I'd keep working.
Until you
Okay.
can't. And then what would you do?
Do they have small kids? You gonna take them to work with them?
Yeah. But so listen. Yeah. So listen. That's good. P-Lin's like slapping the.
I want to come on a KT with you. I want you to do that.
She's like, you stupid. She hits him in the face. All right, bring it back in though. Bring it back in. So you have somebody say, well, if she died, I'd just use my retirement. I said, that's, I appreciate that. I appreciate you thinking that way. The problem is you're probably not going to have enough to retire on anyways, let alone having to use it for a decade or 2 decades before you retire. So, I mean, just do math. What are you making now? I'm making 80,000. What do you think you're going to need to live under in retirement? Half of that. Yeah, right. But let's use your number. All right, so you need 40K, and you're 50 years old right now. And so if you live till 90, hypothetically, that's 400, 800, 1,200, 1.6 million. Now, how much you got saved right now?
Nothing.
You got 300,000 saved, and how much your wife making? Oh, she's making 30 a year. Okay, so she dead for 10 years. You just used your 300 grand replacing her. Now you have 0 retirement money, and you need $1.6 million. I appreciate your thought. I just would like you to explain to me how this is going to work for you. They just never thought about it, right? They just think like, oh, it'll all work out. No, no, it will not all work out. You got to have a plan, and then a backup plan, and then a plan for that plan, and then it might work out, right?
I had one where the guy says, I don't believe in life insurance.
That's great. You don't need to believe in it, but you do need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate that you don't believe in it. Which part don't you believe in? That it exists or that it'll pay your family?
Hold on, let's keep going. Let's keep going with that. I heard it was a scam, so that it'll pay my family. I don't believe it'll pay my family.
Okay, wonderful. So let's go ahead and look up how much money, because they publish facts about these, right?
America's paid out a year.
Well, or let's just look at life insurance in general.
Yeah.
How much life insurance was paid out last year? Google it. That number will pop up.
Wow.
Okay, so is that sufficient for you, Jordan?
Yeah.
Right? This is however many billions of dollars was paid. People? Okay, wonderful. Let's go ahead and get you started.
That's really good.
Yeah, I don't believe in life insurance. I said, that's fine. You don't need to believe in it, but you do need it because your family's going to need to live on it. You might not believe in oxygen either because you can't see it. You still need it.
Did you say that?
No, but it's the same logic.
My kids, but I don't give out my checking account information.
Oh, that one.
Hey, Bruce, listen, I totally appreciate that. Okay, you'd be a very, very wealthy man if we did something wrong with that checking account, right? It's encrypted. It's for a financial product. If we compromise that checking account number, you'd be really happy.
It's my sister.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and get you started.
Bubblehead.
I'm superstitious. Something will happen with that.
Ovi, so you get this a lot with foreigners.
That's a new one.
Oh, right, you do.
No, this is good. Yeah.
So watch this. Ovi, listen, I totally appreciate that. Okay, but if that was even remotely true, the life insurance company wouldn't allow us to sell you life insurance. We're betting you're not going to die.
We don't want you to die.
Right? So if that was true, that somehow you would apply and you'd be more likely to die, we wouldn't even let you get this.
Yes,
You understand that?
numerous occasions.
Okay, so you need to learn how to overcome that.
Oh, no, that was-
Listen, Mr. Client, I really appreciate that. Let me tell you why it's exactly backwards. In fact, the act of you getting this basically brings your chances of death down actuarially. All right, that's true. People who have life insurance live longer than people who don't have life insurance. Right?
Or they're
Because they have something to protect.
super,
They have some reason to care about being here. Right? So you just address right there with them. If that were even remotely true and you had even a hair more likely chance of dying by buying this product, we wouldn't sell it to you. Right? Because we don't want to pay. So I appreciate that you feel that way. It just couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, Obi, the more you get, the less likely you are to die. That's why we give you cheaper rates. That's why break points exist. The more you have up to a certain point, statistically, the less likely you are to die. To a certain point, and then it moves back down the other way. You're making 50 grand a year, you got 10 million of life insurance on you, you're right, now you're moving back the other way towards more likely to die quickly. Right? Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Do you say that to them?
Yes.
And what do
Now
they-
I will.
Now you will, right? So it's just common sense. If that were true, they wouldn't sell it to you. Go ahead.
I had one similar to that. The mom moved forward, but she would not move forward to get coverage on her kids. I explained the benefit
Yes.
of that.
I've had one.
But she's
Okay.
like, I just won't.
Fine. Let's move forward.
Yeah,
I'm not going to
did.
battle you over
Over
Yeah.
children.
over little things. You're moving forward.
Yes,
Great.
Yeah.
you got.
God bless you.
Yeah,
I want to keep my whole life, but I'll get one with you. All right, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ian, I want to keep my whole life. Well, all right. I want to keep it because of the tax benefits, right? I don't pay taxes on my cash value of it. Even after we went through and showed, you get one or the other.
Okay. Well, that's not. You didn't answer his question with one or the other. So, Jordan, let me explain to you how the taxes work on the whole life. Right, and we'll get there when we go to whole life.
Yeah.
Okay. But you didn't answer the objection. He's talking about taxes. You're talking about I don't get both. He said I don't care. I don't get both. I care about the taxes. So you got to overcome that objection.
So we had someone that we sat with, and we were able to save him like a couple $100, and he was like, okay, I gotta take this to my money guy, his investments guy, and see if it makes sense to him. And he was like, well, he even said that I've been paying into it for a few years, so it just doesn't make sense to
The infamous third party that's not there that needs to be there.
Yeah.
You know, I really appreciate that, Valdine. I'd love to meet your guy. Okay. But quite honestly, like if your money guy says you should pay more,
Yeah,
I would find a new money guy.
yeah.
Right? Like that's kind of common sense, right? Same but less coverage or
Yeah.
less premium, right?
What's that?
So you're same product but less money, right?
Yeah,
So you think your money guy's gonna say no? I think you should pay more.
that's what he said.
That's what your guy said.
Okay,
you
so what-
should pay more.
That's what his guy told him, but the thing is, like, they won't, like, how do I get that commitment from him to let us meet with that other guy?
He's fake. He doesn't exist. He's a
Not
decoy. So you need to make that person make their own decision. Valdine, let me ask you a question. Do you ever get gas?
Yeah,
How much per month do you get in gas, do you think?
like,
A couple $100
Yeah.
probably? So you're probably spending more on gas than you are on this, right?
yeah.
Now, if gas goes down 20 cents across the street, do you call your money guy and say, look, I'm standing at the corner of 50 Road. Now, across the street, I can get for 20 cents less. Do you think I should pay more here, or is it okay if I go over there and get less?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Let's get you started. You got to be able to think on your feet, right?
More or less.
But you just told me it costs less. What does this? What on earth would this guy say if he even exists, which he doesn't? If you, right? Okay, but if he even exists, okay, why would he tell you to pay more?
Yeah.
And why would you accept that?
So he could get paid
Okay.
more.
Well, but it's not the insurance guy. It's this guy that does the money that somehow didn't sell him insurance. He does something else, right?
He does his investments
Yeah.
or something. Is what he
Wonderful.
told us.
Yeah. So listen, I appreciate that. Okay, but this is clear and obvious, and I would literally say the gas station thing to them. So, Valdine, you're paying $100 a month for your life insurance right now. Let me ask you: you drive a car, right?
Yeah.
You ever get gas?
Yeah.
How much do you think you spend in gas per month?
Couple $100.
So more than you're paying for this, right? You call the money guy when the gas station across the street has a lower price, or you just go there and get it.
Just go there.
Okay, great. Let's go ahead and start.
I don't know if this is on this topic or not. My parents have a paid up. They also got a policy through us now, but they're keeping their paid up. Should they cash that out or just
Yes.
keep it, cash it out?
Why would you keep a paid up whole life?
Right.
That's the worst product you could possibly buy.
Make some money with that.
Why? Why is it the worst product?
Because you paid all.
Why, Angela, is it the worst product?
A paid up whole life?
Yes. Why is it the worst product
You're
you
not
could
gonna
possibly
get
buy?
both.
Okay, but that's true, but that's true of all whole life. So why is the paid up whole life the worst version of that?
I don't know.
Why do you think it
Inflation.
is? Stop,
Oh.
let her think. Why do you think that a paid up whole life is the worst product you could buy? Because if it's true you don't get both, how did you pay it up? By putting what? More money into it up front than you would have if you were paying it monthly. So if you don't get both, but you gave them a huge chunk up front, that would mean you have the most to lose when you don't get both. Do you understand that? Versus paying it in little by little. If you die, at least not all the money's in there yet. But right now, all of it's in there. All the money that will ever need to be in there is already in there for them to lose. Right? So how much cash value's in there?
10 grand,
And what's the face value?
15.
Yeah, so watch. So here's 10K in cash, they're gonna lose. So if they die tomorrow, how much money are they actually getting from this 15,000? 5K.
Yeah, well, they paid 7 grand. to
Right,
start
but
it, so-
that's
Okay,
irrelevant, so
okay.
watch. They're getting 5K.
Okay.
How much per month will it cost them to add 5K to the term insurance you sold them?
Right, we gotta figure that out.
How much? A buck?
Right, not much.
Right? Okay. So you're gonna lose 10K so that you can get 5K, or we could get you the same 5K for $2 a month. And then you could take your 10K and grow it. Would you rather pay $10,000 to get $5,000 or $2 to get $5,000? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good. Any other questions on people who have no life insurance but do have dependents? Going once, going twice, right? So folks, listen, if it's true that they need to do it, and it is, eventually after you get rid of all the bad thinking, the only thing that's left is the truth, right? And they should be moving forward with you. Good?
Yeah.
Okay. Group insurance objections.
I have GM, and I can take it with me.
Okay? So you've gone through the 4 reasons.
Yep.
You've gotten tie downs.
Yep.
Okay? So now if you know they work for GM because you formed them before you started,
Yep.
you know that GM policies are portable because they're GVUL and they're retarded expensive when you port them over. Stupid expensive. Okay? So when you get to the part about having to work there, say normally, Jordan, you have to work there. Now in your case, that's not true. You can take it with you. It's just completely unaffordable.
Just like that.
Right, and then I'm going to move along because there's other reasons, a living benefit, etc., that they should be switching. Do you understand why you should do this? Yes, it's sold right there. Now, if they want to combat me more on it, I'm going to pull up their rates. Right, we have GM's group life insurance rates on our cloud or whatever.
Generous Motors.
Yeah.
Where do we have it?
Accessible to full-timers only, right?
Huh?
Only accessible to
I don't know. I don't know who has access, but whatever that is, whatever Google Drive that is,
Yeah.
we got GM life insurance. We got everything. It's sitting in there. You just pull the
Go
schedule
through the
and
rates.
show them.
It doesn't go, I went through the whole thing.
Huh?
There's no rates in there?
There's no rates in there.
No rates in where?
The GM policy that we have on the cloud.
Watch this. Let's go find this right now. I bet I can find it in 30 seconds online.
Okay. So go to your docs.
No, I'm not even going to go to the docs. Watch this.
Google.
GM Group
GM Group Life.
Life Insurance
State of Michigan
rates.
was just searching it.
Yeah.
Who's actually being civil life?
And GM takes 6 months to pay out.
Yeah, they do.
If you're on the active payroll,
Yeah.
it's 6 months.
And there's a whole bunch of things that are covered that I went through with them.
Hope you don't have
Hemorrhoid plus. Yeah. GM, Ford, Chrysler, and Nexus Columbus.
Yeah. So I found, is it through Met? Is that who
They
it's through?
won't pay out.
Yes.
Ernie. I thought it was Ernie. It's both? I was both. I'll double check that.
Yeah, here it is, GM benefits. Life insurance. My benefits, MetLife. It's coming up, but it took me, what, 30 seconds to find it? So you can find it. We have them. We do have schedules of all the premiums. So ask Lisa for it. She's got it for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. So you show them what it's going to cost. Say, are you going to pay this? No? Okay, great. Let's get you something different. Right? So who's got other questions on group life? Okay, so here's the objection you're going to get a lot. I want to look at the policy first. I don't believe what you're telling me is going to happen. I want to look at it first. Right? So there's several ways to overcome this. The first way is, Jordan, listen, I totally appreciate that. The problem is you're going to be looking for the rest of your life because you don't have a policy. Because you have group insurance, you have a certificate. Okay, so it's in your employee manual. Do you have an employee benefits manual available to you online? It'll be in there, right? Okay. And we can just go and read it, and that's generally sufficient, right? What if they don't have it? Here's how you overcome this. Amy, if what I'm telling you is true, you obviously wouldn't want to stay with that, right? Okay, well, it is true. So let's save each other some time. Let's start this process, assuming that it's true. And if it's not true, keep what you have. But it's true, right? Okay, so I'm just, if what I'm telling you is right, Jordan, you can't do any of this stuff with it. If that's true, you would not want to have this, and you'd want to have private coverage, right? Okay, good. Well, it is true. So if it takes you a week or 2 weeks to find it, there's no point in us taking our time to get back together to do what we can do right now, because it's true. And if it's not, then don't go forward with mine. But I'm extremely confident that that's what's going to happen. And I'm going to get them to move forward, right? Because of my what? My confidence. Convinced people, right? Okay, well, mine doesn't work like that. Yes, it does. And if you think it doesn't, get your documents and we'll look. But it works that way for a reason. Go ahead.
Yeah, I had, excuse me, I've had several KTs with GM management, supervisory people. And they really, I think they're, in their mind, they're really betting that they're going to finish out their careers with GM, that GM's is going to keep that life insurance benefit intact for the rest of their careers, that the bad stuff that we say is happening in the world, they believe that,
They just
but
don't
it's
believe
not
to
going to
them.
happen to them.
Okay, so
Because
there's
it's
two ways.
GM.
So there's two ways to deal with that. So you're talking about a couple of things that they're going to keep it, right, and that they can take it with them. Okay, so let's just concede that and say, all right, let's pretend that's true. You still have to be on active pay to get it, which you're not in control of. Okay, and you still have no living benefit. And it's expensive. The GM stuff is not cheap. GM life insurance it's basically ART is going up like every year, right?
And after they retire, the face amount starts decreasing.
Yep. So let's concede to them. Sure, they might not take it away from you. You still can't control these two things. So if you're going to pay for it, would you rather pay for something with half the benefit or all the benefit? If you're going to use the money, you want something that works or something that doesn't work?
Yeah. The active payroll thing is, I can get them to concede on that because it's in their summary plan.
Sure. Yeah.
Or plan summary, sorry.
Yeah.
But in that plan summary that I read, that they provided to me, they do have an accelerated benefit. It just doesn't say exactly what it is.
Sure. Okay. So we have this, but we're not going to tell you anything about it.
Yeah, I know.
Is it your doctor? Is it?
No,
Yeah.
it's exactly what I pointed out to them. Right?
Yeah.
It's
Who
like, look,
knows?
the policy has all the details,
So
and you don't have a policy.
So why is that though? Why? So in this specific case, he's saying they are offering them the living benefit. Why? Because technically, that is an individualized plan. That's not a group plan through GM. It's it's a group variable universal life plan, right? That they can port with them. Generally, if they can port it, it might have something like this too. But again, this should be enough. I mean, end of story. What are you going to do? You're unconscious in a hospital bed. You're going to wake up from unconsciousness and say, hey, take me off disability pay because if I die, you're getting nothing. I mean, what are you doing? Right? And it's expensive. Again, on GM, you should never walk out without a close. Just calculate what it's going to cost them over the next 20 years. It's ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
So you just do a total cost. It might cost them less right now, but 6-7 years from now, it ain't costing them less. Right? Amy, do you have a question?
I don't get objections. I get this often. Well, I got 300 for work. I understand I need 600,000.
Yeah,
right?
the additional.
Yeah.
Because you didn't do a good job selling them on the group. They still, so after you've told them why group's bad, they still don't believe you, or they weren't listening. which is why you got to tie down the trend. Amy, does it make sense that we bet something as important as your family's financial well-being against a clear and obvious trend?
No.
So how are they going to tell you after that? Oh, but I still want it.
I just need only 300.
Right. So the trend, right? Okay. The working there. Amy, does it make sense in today's economy where employee-employer relationships are not 40 years long anymore? Does it make sense that we would bet our family's entire financial well-being on our continued employment with an employer that we can't control? How are they going to say, yeah, but I still want it?
Sure.
Right?
Those are front
Active pay. Amy, does it make sense to you that we would bet our family's entire financial well-being on our ability to dictate exactly how we die? No? Okay, great. Right, so you're giving them info and moving along. I'm giving them info and tying them to the point I just made. Right? I never, ever have people want to keep their group insurance. Never. So if you're getting that more than randomly, there's your front end's not very tight there.
This is just something I just thought of. We have suicide clauses, 2 years.
Yeah.
Does that still apply for group?
I don't know.
I just think of that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Details then.
Yeah, but again, yeah. So I'm not going to get into the details of the plan. I'm going to talk big picture. Yeah. Okay. So you're going to get a lot of. I want to look at the policy. Well, you're never going to find one, right? But if this was true, you would want to go forward, right? Great. Well, it is true. So let me help you go forward. Okay. Right. You're going to get. Go ahead, Ovi.
What if this is a Ford employee? What if they paying extra?
Right.
For additional coverage. And
it's the same thing. They're not paying, they're paying extra. Who cares? It works the same way. And the Ford is like a 5-year term that gets ridiculous expensive too. Ford, Chrysler, and GM like taking candy from a baby because they're not cheap. They're expensive. The plans are expensive. They're not like your normal group insurance that's dirt cheap for a whole bunch of coverage.
Well, he's paying like $30 for him.
For how long, Ovi? For how long? The answer is 5 years. And then what happens? Then it like doubles. Every 5 years, it doubles upon doubles upon doubles. So how do you sell against that? Total cost. Some of you are like, it's cheaper for 2 years. And then it's more expensive. So you total cost. How long are you going to need life insurance for? 20 years. Well, let's add up year by year with these price jumps, and then let's show you a 20-year term, and ours will always be cheaper.
Is that when they take it with them, or is that during?
During. Chrysler and Ford are 5-year renewable terms. GM is annually renewing as a group of variable universal life. They're not funding the cash. It's operating like term insurance while they're there. When they leave, they got to fund the cash, which is why the face value drops so rapidly. Because they don't have any funding there. Like, well, you can only really have this much insurance then with that. Yeah. So again, it's like taking candy from a baby, y'all. It really is. Their products are so bad. And stop and think about this, right? Okay. In group insurance, you got 2 universes of insurance. Total bull crap, right? Which might be like super cheap because you can't take it with you. It's just a pile. Or like Ford, Chrysler, GM, you can take some form of it with you, okay, right? But it's expensive, as it should be. Why? Stop and think about the building block of the insurance. If you work at Ford, are there more or less people working at Ford than people living in the United States? Less. So their risk group is what? Smaller. What do you have to take medical test-wise to get group insurance? Nothing. Okay? Nothing. So you pay the same rate as a guy weighing 400 pounds who's got diabetes. Who in that pair of you wins? Big fella wins. Because you're bringing his rate down and he's bringing your rate up, and they don't know the difference between you two. Which is why it's more expensive over time. Because they're going to let you take it with you, then they're bound to you by more than just your employment, and if they can't underwrite you, they're going to make you pay. You understand that? So that's an easy way to explain this to clients is, Jordan, listen, right now, you pay the same rate as every other person that's X years old, whether they have diabetes, whether they had a heart attack, whether they're perfectly healthy, right? So Jordan, listen, if you're willing to discriminate against yourself on a private policy, do underwriting, say, hey, I'm better health than these guys. They'll actually let you pay a lower rate, and they'll make them pay the higher rate. Does that make sense, Jordan? That's why we're going to be so much cheaper over time than keeping what you have.
Thanks for coming over.
Any other questions on group insurance?
Yeah, is that true for, in terms of cost when it comes to government employees such as the post office?
I'm not extremely familiar with different government programs in terms of cost, but like look at the military. Let's look at SGLI and VGLI. Right? SGLI is the same price the entire time. When they retire, then it's a 5-year term that doubles upon doubles upon doubles upon doubles. So like I just did one, 20-year term. All right, so the guy's paying $38 now for 400 grand. Okay, on a 10-year, we were about the same. He's retiring in 2 years. So $38 goes from $38 to $90, right? And that would be 7 years into the policy. And on his 8th year, it goes to $170, and we're the same $38. So then what I did is I upsold him on a 20-year, which is more than he wanted to pay. It was $77 a month. It's double what he's paying now. Why? He's retiring by the time he got to the 20th year, his premium would have been $980 a month through the veterans. And ours is 77.
And there's no way
at age 70, it goes away. He doesn't even have it, so he can't buy it anymore. He's not eligible for it at any cost, and he can keep ours at $77 a month on a decreasing term to age 100. These are our soldiers. So what's a post office worker going to have? It probably ain't going to be much better than that. But okay, so Kia, if that's true, then it's going to be on a renewing term that's going to get more expensive than something that we could buy. Why? Are there more or less people employed by the government than people in the United States? So if they got to deal with a smaller risk pool than the population in general, there's no way they can underwrite it as efficiently as opening it to everybody. Number one. Number two, they ain't doing health tests. That cannot be less expensive than somebody willing to do a health test. It's not possible. Insurance is somebody's got to pay, right? Somebody got to pay. They wouldn't give them the insurance if they didn't think they could make the money off of it. Do you understand that? Okay, so somebody's going to have to pay. Who pays? The healthy people pay a premium higher than they would pay in the private marketplace over time, right? So you always got to be thinking, if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. Because somebody's got to make the money somewhere. So again, you can sell to who? Everybody in the United States. You have the biggest pool of population, and they have to do a medical test to get in. You will beat over time the rate of a smaller pool that doesn't have to test. There's no way that those two things could coexist together. It's not possible. That company would lose their shirt not doing medical tests and charging less than a company that does medical tests. It can't happen. It's not possible. Right? So you just got to be able to think through when you're seeing these things, saying, where's the problem here? And then you got to find it, right? Any other questions on group insurance? Objections on group? Okay, so let's talk about, I want you to role play with you. I want to find my policy. I can take it with me. Go through these two objections twice each, back and forth. Say, I appreciate that, I understand, but I really want to look at my group policy before we move forward, right? And oh, you know what, Rick, I can actually take mine with me. How do you overcome those two based on what we just did? Pair up with somebody different, not the same person, different, role play it twice each.